Welcome to section 4 of the MSP Foundation Certification Training. This is the last and final section. In this, we will deal with the MSP processes, which are 7 in number. There will be 14 questions in the exam from the MSP processes. We will be understanding the purpose of every process and their objectives, as well as the context or the situation, meaning what triggers a certain process and does a certain process trigger some other process. And the 7 processes we will deal with are as follows. We will begin with identify the program, followed by design the outcomes, then plan progressive delivery, deliver the capabilities, embed the outcomes, evaluate new information, and lastly, close the program. So once again, we have the 7 processes here, and we're going to look at the purpose, objectives, and context of each of these 7 processes. We will begin with identify the program, the first process in an MSP program. The purpose of this identify the program process is to analyze the drivers and justification for the program, ensuring that it is consistent with the overall strategy for the investing organizations for a worthwhile investment before carrying out more detailed work to justify and structure the program and plan its delivery. For the foundation exam, you need to know throughout this course the specific terms, concepts, sentences, terminology, etc. That's the reason I've been reading some of those statements directly from the slides. However, here the purpose really means that it should be a quick process to understand what are the reasons for the program, what are the drivers, and why is the program required. It should be a quick work rather than too detailed work. And this purpose of a certain program should be in line with the strategy of the organizations which are involved, meaning is the investment worth and is it in line with the organization's strategy. And this process is triggered before more detailed work is performed afterwards, which happens through other processes later on in MSP. So this process should take a few weeks only. So when I meant quick, it should be just a few weeks rather than months. And it should be the minimum work required with an initial idea and turning that into a tangible business concept for a change or to derive benefits. And this initial idea and tangible business concept will be later explored much further in detail in other processes. And the purpose of all these is to decide whether further work on the program is worthwhile or not. So this quick check through identify the program will enable a program to later on understand the more detail. But in the beginning, it's just a quick check on whether it is worth doing other work in the program later on or not. Specifically, these are the following objectives of this process. To ensure whether the program has a clear business justification for further investigation. Note that this business justification is not a detailed one yet. It's just a quick and an initial one only. This process also ensures the outline vision and high-level benefits are understood. Note that most of the artifacts generated are high-level outline rather than detailed ones. It's also about ensuring the high-level costs, funding, and cash flow implications, and also to identify the major risks, and also identify and appoint key roles, at least some to start with. Then also ensure that the resources, timeframes, and costs needed to design the program in more detail have been planned, meaning it should be clear as an output from this process how much resource, timeframe, and cost are required later on for more detailed planning. The context of this process, meaning understanding how this process or where this process is positioned. The trigger for this process is through the program mandate. This mandate may or may not be a document, as sometimes the executive management may communicate verbally the drivers and key objectives for the program. For example, they might communicate some high-level benefits, high-level timelines, or why the program is required based on certain business challenges where there needs to be some change through creation of new capabilities. Begin with question number 3. Which process quickly develops the initial thought behind the program into a workable proposal? A. Design the outcomes. B. Identify the program. C. Embed the outcomes. Or D. Plan progressive delivery. We need to identify the process which quickly develops the initial thought for the program, which can be later on turned into a workable proposal. There are two clue words here, quickly and the initial thought. Option A, design the outcomes, works to establish solid foundations for the program. It's about understanding the program vision, the benefits, the risks, the target operating model, the gap between the current and future states before detailed planning of the program can be started. In design the outcomes, the detailed definition and design work for the program is performed. It is done every time when a tranche begins to validate the outputs or to adapt them to new information for the tranche. Option B, identify the program, is the answer. This is where the drivers and justification for the program is analyzed so that it is consistent with the overall strategy for the investing organizations and likely to offer a worthwhile investment before carrying out more detailed work to justify and structure the program and perform the delivery planning. The time to implement this process of identifying the program is typically short, maybe a few weeks only, with a minimum amount of work. The aim is to turn this initial idea into a tangible business concept so that a decision can be made on whether further work on the program is worthwhile or not.